Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And tonight it's Tuesday, so I'm here with a sketch challenge for you. So I hope there'll be some people that jump on and play along with me. I will be posting the picture of the sketch at about quarter to, so I might actually have been 7:45. I can't remember when I posted it, but it will go live a little bit after I finished this live. Hey, Catherine, welcome. There's a few people jumped on. Just checking to see one that I can see comments if they come in on my phone. There we go. Okay, I can see comments. Now let's just make sure that's turned off. There we go. Hey, Lynette. Great. Okay, so tonight I really love this sketch. It's kind of fun and yeah, we'll see if some of you recognize it as we go along. Hey, Carol, welcome. It's late for you in Connecticut. All right, let me switch over to my desktop and I will show you. All right, so here's the sketch. So layer number 1, which is the gray, is your card base. Well, actually, it's your card base. So you can either do 5.5 by 8.5 or 4.25 by 11. I think I have a piece that's 5.5 by 8.5. Layer number 2, which is this really only just kind of, I don't know that you can actually see it. There's a little bit of yellow behind. So that's layer 2. It's 3.75 by 5. And then the orange layer, which is layer number 2, is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. So it's a little bit of a bigger border on this one than other cards. Then the blue is 1 7/8 by 3 1/8. And then this white layer, layer number 4, is 1/2 inch by 2 inch, or whatever fits your sentiment. That's kind of what that's for. So whatever size fits your sentiment is perfect for that. So there's all sorts of ways you can use this sketch, whether you want to use, 2 colors of cardstock and some designer series paper. This orange one could be designer series paper. But I will show you what I'm going to do. And again, some of you will have seen this before, but I just love this, the way it turned out. So, all right, I have managed to lose my trimmer. So here's the trimmer. I don't know where my trimmer is. Okay, so let's just bring my trimmer in. So my piece, let's put it going the right way. So my card base is 5.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to score it at 4.25. Oh, there's the trimmer, the other trimmer. All right, so again, fold into the mountain. So this is the side I scored on. That's got the indent. This is the raised side, so that's the mountain. So fold into that. Use your bone folder just to give it a really good crease. So that's your card base. Now, this is my layer number 1. This is fresh freesia. So it is 3 3/4 by 5. And then layer number 2 is basic white. Again, lots of ways you could do this. You could use designer series paper here, and then you could use a small piece of basic white and use that for the center. Now, what I'm going to do is stamp on this. And where's my stamp set? I'm using the Blessings of Home stamp set. I'm going to use the smaller of the 2 flowers. And I'm just going to ink. This is, maybe I'm using the Tuxedo Black Memento. Let's see, maybe I can do it this way. And I'm going to do some coloring, which is why I'm using Tuxedo Black. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this kind of just off to the side a little bit. And I'll show you some tricks if you're going to do it the way I'm doing it. Well, that's a little bit more off to the side than I wanted, but that's okay. We'll make it work. And I'll tell you those tricks when we get there. So I'm going to do a little bit of coloring. I'm not going to do a ton of coloring on this, but I'm really just going to color in this stamp image actually has some kind of shaded lines on it. And that's where I'm just gonna color using my blends. I'm not gonna color the whole thing. I want white image left. Like that. And then I'm gonna use the dark on these little tiny, I'm gonna use the dark in the center. Like that. So a little bit of coloring on the center. And then just a little bit of coloring with the dark on these the tiny little flowers. This is such a pretty stamp set. This is again the blessings of home. And then for green, I'm going to use the light and dark mint macaron. So I'm going to take some of the light and just do the same thing where it's got some of the lines. I'm just going to color, just kind of just going over the lines. Like I said, I'm not really coloring this, and I'm not going out to the full length of any of the images. Just want some color in it. There, that's all I'm going to do. Now I've got my, hello, Kathleen. All right, so I've got the stitched rectangle dies, and I've got the die that is roughly 1 7/8 by 3 1/8. So for mine, instead of adding another piece of cardstock, I'm actually just going to take and cut this out using this die. So if you want to do this technique, it's kind of, I'm just going to hold this in place because I really want, part of my image coming out and staying and not being, I'm cutting through my image. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to take it. Just bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm just going to take this and cut it. If you've got a Post-it note tape, you can hold that stitched rectangle in place with a Post-it note. Or I've got Post-it note tape. It works. Okay, so now I'm going to take my piece off, my die off. Gently so I don't tear anything. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is take this out of the die. Oh, it doesn't want to come out tonight. There we go. Now I'm going to emboss this whole image. I'm going to take this whole thing out, and I'm going to put my rectangle, my stitch rectangle back in. Actually, I don't think I need to do that. That might affect my image, so let's take that off. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss it using the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. So I want to make sure I've got the side. I want this side. This is the front side. So let's see. Get that through. I just want to make sure it's even, roughly even. So I'm going to put this in, and then I'm putting my stitched rectangle right back in where I cut it out from. And then we will run this through with the embossing folder. Like that. Take that out off to the side. And die back in its folder so I don't lose it. I'm known to do. Of course, you guys don't lose dies. All right, so now I've got my piece, and it is colored and cut out and embossed. This just gives it a really nice subtle texture. You could use all sorts of embossing folders, but I like the ones that are just a little bit more subtle than the others. And then I'm going to take and adhere this piece down. You could use liquid glue. I don't know, I just grabbed my Stampin' Seal tonight. So this is just going to have a pop of the fresh freesia color. And then I'm going to pop up this piece that I cut out using dimensionals, just to give it some dimension. And if you really wanted to pop it up, you could actually pop it up a couple of times using a 2 stack of the dimensionals, but I'm just going to use one. And we're just going to pop it up. You can see that if your image is even a little bit bigger, then your image would spread out even further onto this piece that wasn't cut out, but just got a little bit of the leaves on either side. And then this piece, I'm going to just adhere on. Again, a little bit bigger of a border from your card base than I typically do, but I kind of just like the peekaboo of the fresh freesia and then on the Misty Moonlight. Now, I need a scrap of basic white, which I don't have, so let me grab. Oh, I did bring a scrap. What did I do with that? Oh, here it is. So I want to put a thank you. Oh, good. Let's see who said that. Ah, Kathleen. Yeah, this is a really pretty card and a nice technique to use. Now, I just want thank you. So this stamp set has thank you for inspiring me. It has have a perfect birthday. I'm just going to use the thank you. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put it on a block. So you could do this 2 ways. If you only want part of a stamp, you can do it a couple of ways. You can use a Post-it note, or in my case, some Post-it note tape, and just put it right over the part of the stamp you don't want, and then ink up your stamp so that when you stamp, you're only getting the thank you. Now, the downside with this is if you get ink on your Post-it note, you could get ink on your card. So what I'm going to do is just gently try to ink up. So the other way you could do this is if you have a black Stampin' Write marker or any color Stampin' Write marker that you want to use. But what I did was just put the edge, so just kind of ink it up using at the edge so that I'm not getting the ink on the for inspiring me. And then I can take and stamp that and hope, not too bad, hope that I get it sort of centered. I grab this piece that is longer. This is one of my little strips, 1/2-inch strips that I cut off of my basic white when I'm making the layers. And so now I'm just going to trim this off. Now, I think I said that the piece was 1/2 inch by about 2 inches, so I could have cut this in advance, but I didn't, so I just trimmed it. So again, whatever your sentiment that you want to use, make your sentiment piece the size of that. So using this technique and just inking up, especially if you've got some Stampin' Write blends, is just a really easy way to only ink up part of the sentiment. Also a way to, if you wanted it multicolored, I could have done the thank you alternating in colors. Now I've double stacked one end of this, so this is a single dimensional here and a double dimensional on this dimension on this end, because I've got this side of this is already popped up, so I don't want to pop that up even more, but I want my right hand side of my sentiment to be level. So there we go. Double dimensional on this side and single on this side, because that's already Now, I have some of this is the Fresh Freesia Open Weave ribbon. So I am going to attempt to tie a really small bow. Sometimes this works better than others. So try to get it at least started, and then I can fuss with it and bring these pieces, I don't know what these are called. That's the tail, I guess the bow part, making it really small and then tighten it so it doesn't get too big. There we go. That's not too bad. Hey, Janet. Yes, Janet, you love purple. This is right up your alley. All right, I'm going to trim this and use a glue dot. And I'm going to just put this right here on the flower over top of my that. And then the other thing I grabbed were these. These are the pastel pearls. So I've got some in the kind of gorgeous grape. So I will use the gorgeous grape. I'm going to use one of the gray ones, a couple of the gray ones. I'll do that. 2 there and 1 there, just to give it a little bit more zing. Okay, and then the last thing I am going to do. Yeah, aren't these colors pretty? I just love the Fresh Freesia and Misty Moonlight, and I'm doing as much as I can with Misty Moonlight these days because it's going to be it's retiring in with the annual catalog. It's going to be a very sad day when some of those retire. So just using it because it's pretty. So I'm just going to ink up this and just put it down here in the corner, just so I've got something on the inside of the card. You could do this on the envelope as well. All right, let me bring my sketch back in. Okay, so there's the sketch. You can see I'm pretty close to the sketch. I got it a little bit over to the left. I probably could have put it a little bit to the right, but it's all good. So lots of ways you could do this. Again, I cut it out, and this my blue part is the cutout piece. You could have just cut a piece like that and put it on top. You didn't have to emboss it. You could have used designer series paper. All sorts of ways to use this sketch, whichever way you would like to. Yeah, I guess that's a good suggestion, Janet. If you love any of the colors, so every year Stampin' Up! Retires 5 of their in colors. So the Misty Moonlight, Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, and I'm going to mess up, I'm going to forget the others. Magenta Madness, and there's another one. They came in 2 years ago, and so that means they're going to disappear as of the new catalog, like the new annual catalog that comes out in May. So if you really love any of those in colors, I would strongly suggest you stock up, because as soon as they announce the retirement and the new colors, these colors are going to disappear fast. So if you don't have a re-inker for your ink pad, any of the colors, you absolutely want to stock up on those. They go very quickly, and then you're going to be very sad when your ink color, your ink pad dries out and you don't have a re-inker. They're only, I'm going to say $5 or thereabouts in Canada. So they're not expensive, and they will last you a very long time. So again, I really strongly advise you to stock up on the cardstock and the ink, the re-inker. Okay, Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you play along. As I said, the sketch is going live. You'll see the post with the sketch so you can play along. It has all the measurements on it, and it will be posted both on my Facebook page and on my group. So if you're coming in through YouTube, link to Facebook group, as well as my blog and others are posted underneath this video, so you'll be able to find them. I will be back on Thursday night at 6:30 with a technique. I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but I'll be back with a technique. So I hope you'll join me then. And then I'll be back on Saturday at 11 a.m. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Happy stamping. Bye.